What if corruption wasn't humanity's greatest flaw, but its most carefully guarded secret? Imagine for a moment that the very decay we're taught to fear is, in fact, the weapon used by those who rule from the shadows. This is the paradox behind Belphegor explained, the god of corruption, wealth, and dangerous innovation. While the masses see corruption as collapse, forbidden cults have long treated it as power. And the elites? They still invoke Belphegor in their secret rituals, convinced that decay itself is a spiritual engine. Why the elites still invoke Belphegor is not just history, it's conspiracy turned into tradition. From forbidden demon cults in medieval Europe to occult elite secrets whispered in modern boardrooms, his presence endures. Belphegor, demon explained, is no simple myth. He is the embodiment of how ruin can be weaponized, how sloth becomes control, and how innovation becomes destruction. This is why elites and dark gods never let go of him. To them, corruption isn't the end, it's the key. So if you've ever wondered why the powerful thrive when everything else falls apart, the answer might be darker than you think. Stay with me, because in this journey we'll uncover the forbidden occult knowledge that elites have hidden for centuries, the cult of the god of corruption, Belphegor. What if corruption itself was never just a mistake of men, but a divine whisper, guiding rulers to twist decay into strength? Those who have studied forbidden occult knowledge know that Belphegor explained the secret of turning weakness into a throne. He isn't simply another prince of hell, Belphegor. He is the god of corruption, the force that transforms moral ruin into dominion. The elites and dark gods are not interested in purity, they are interested in control, and corruption becomes the easiest tool. Dangerous demon worship begins not in fire, but in subtle decay, in the slow acceptance that rot can be useful if properly directed. The enigma of Belphegor's whisper lies in this inversion, corruption as spiritual power. He is remembered in forbidden demon cults as the voice that turns sloth into strategy. Many laugh at the idea, thinking corruption is only bribery or moral failure, yet history shows otherwise. Why elites invoke Belphegor is not to beg for mercy, but to learn how to harvest decay. Think of empires that collapsed not from outside invasion, but from inner rot. Rome, Byzantium, even modern nations cracking under hidden hands. Could these not be echoes of demonic corruption rituals performed in the shadows? Belphegor, demon explained, through this lens, is not a monster with horns, but a mentor of collapse, guiding rulers on how to feed on ruin. Some claim that elites' secret rituals are less about fire and brimstone and more about learning patience. Corruption takes time, like rust-consuming steel. Belphegor occult secrets suggest that one doesn't need to burn a system to control it, just accelerate its natural decay. Corruption and decay rituals are whispered among occult elite secrets, where leaders gather in candlelit chambers, speaking the name of the god of corruption not as an enemy but as a teacher. This is the whisper. You don't need to fight the world, you just need to let it rot and take what's left. Forbidden cults have long embraced this paradox. The forbidden gnosis of Belphegor isn't written in books available to the public, but encrypted in symbols of wealth, decadence, and invention. He is the demonic innovation god, the paradoxical figure that blesses with ideas and curses with decay. Imagine a device that brings prosperity, yet destroys communities, a mirror of technology in our own age. Is it coincidence that the same innovations bringing wealth also seed chaos? Or is it Belphegor explained once more, weaving his whisper through the mind of inventors, elites and rulers who secretly bow before him? Elites invoking demons do so not for theatrics, but for guidance in this delicate balance. Think of modern corporations collapsing communities by design, offering wealth to a few while draining the soul of many. Is this not the practical face of demonic wealth rituals? The elites and dark gods who understand the forbidden mechanics of corruption do not need open altars. They just need boardrooms, sealed contracts, and whispered agreements. This is why elites invoke Belphegor, because his occult secrets teach them to disguise decay as progress. Corruption as spiritual power becomes a hidden economy, traded among the few who know that rot is the soil where empires of control are grown. Belphegor's whisper isn't always loud, but it's often the voice of comfort, telling rulers, it's fine to let the people suffer, for out of their despair you will rise. This dangerous demon worship appears subtle but leaves scars on entire civilizations. The god of corruption does not scream, he tempts. He does not strike, he waits. And in this patience lies the true danger, for the elites who embrace forbidden cults know that silence corrupts faster than noise. Forbidden occult knowledge is never taught directly. It's absorbed in these whispers that echo through history. And so, Belphegor explained, is more than a demon in a book. It is the archetype of control through decay. Every whisper promises wealth, power, and innovation, but each carries the seed of ruin. Those who study forbidden demon cults learn quickly that corruption can be both shield and sword, both throne and pit. Yet the enigma remains. Why do elites still invoke him when they know the price? Perhaps the answer lies not in fear of destruction, but in the seduction of mastering it. And this, inevitably, leads us into the roots of his ancient presence. Long before medieval grimoires dared to name him, long before Belphegor was feared as a prince of hell Belphegor, his shadow was already walking through the temples of ancient Mesopotamia. Fertility gods, once invoked to bless harvests, slowly twisted into idols of stagnation, where abundance slipped into decadence. This transformation is at the heart of Belphegor, explained in occult traditions, the shift from creation to corruption, from growth to decay. Elites and dark gods understood early on that fertility without discipline rots into sloth, and abundance without wisdom turns into ruin. The forbidden cults surrounding these deities evolved into the dangerous demon worship of Belphegor, an entity who taught that corruption itself was a spiritual technology. In the Semitic pantheon, corruption and decay rituals already appeared hidden under the guise of fertility celebrations. Priests would bless the soil, yet in secret, elites performed forbidden demon cults that blurred life and death. Here lies the god of corruption's early power. What is born in purity can be hijacked by sloth. Belphegor occult secrets reveal that wealth without balance becomes poison, and pleasure without restraint becomes a chain. Forbidden occult knowledge insists that this archetype never died. It simply changed names across cultures, until medieval grimoires fixed the mask of Belphegor upon him. Why elites invoke Belphegor today echoes the same motivations of rulers thousands of years ago. In ancient cities, temples became laboratories of corruption as spiritual power. They learned that controlling decay was a form of domination. If the people grew dependent, addicted to comfort, elites could thrive in secrecy. Demonic corruption rituals were performed not to destroy fertility, but to redirect it into stagnation. This was Belphegor explained in action. Prosperity poisoned into sloth, wealth curdled into apathy, life inverted into death. Elites invoking demons did not need fear, they needed patience. The medieval church, terrified of these currents, rebranded the idol as a prince of hell Belphegor, forever tied to sloth and corruption. But even that condemnation revealed a hidden respect. They feared his ability to corrupt from within. Forbidden gnosis of Belphegor spread through whispers in monasteries, where monks copied grimoires that warned of elites' secret rituals. Belphegor demon explained in those texts was less about horns and more about innovation. His demonic wealth rituals promising inventions that would make men rich but spiritually bankrupt. Elites and dark gods fed upon this paradox. Consider the legends of an idol seated upon filth, offering riches to those who dared bow before it. That grotesque image was not random. It encoded the belief that corruption as spiritual power is inseparable from wealth. To receive his blessing was to accept that decay is a currency. Belphegor occult secrets always tied abundance with ruin, as though one could never appear without the other. This is why forbidden cults thrived in secret, passed down among rulers and societies who saw corruption not as sin, but as strategy. Even today, echoes of this ancient archetype can be seen in how modern elites operate. The same way Mesopotamian kings controlled fertility festivals, today's rulers control economies, flooding them with excess until sloth and dependency set in. Dangerous demon worship no longer needs temples of stone. It thrives in systems that breed apathy. The forbidden mechanics remain the same. Turn fertility into overabundance, and overabundance into rot. Belphegor explained through this lineage becomes the invisible architect of controlled decline. And so, the ancient roots of the idol of sloth and corruption remind us that Belphegor has always been more than a name. He is an archetype older than any scripture, a whisper encoded in the soil of civilizations. He is the demonic innovation god who flips the coin of fertility into the mask of decay. But this is only the beginning. For once the roots are understood, the question emerges: how did the elites themselves form their pact with this god of decay? And why do they still call upon him in their secret rituals? Throughout history, whispers of forbidden cults have suggested that kings, nobles, and secret societies forged hidden agreements with Belphegor, explained as the god of corruption. These pacts weren't framed as worship in the religious sense, but as transactions of power. Elites invoking demons weren't kneeling in weakness. They were studying how to manipulate rot as a resource. The Prince of Hell, Belphegor, was not adored for beauty or compassion. He was sought because he taught rulers how to turn decadence into dominion. Dangerous demon worship was in truth a lesson in administration through decay. In medieval courts and hidden chambers, elites and dark gods met in secrecy. They believed corruption as spiritual power was the most efficient tool of control. Forbidden demon cults thrived not by shouting their allegiance, but by masking it in symbols of innovation, wealth, and indulgence. Belphegor, demon explained in their rituals, was always pragmatic. He offered ideas, inventions, or economic structures that enriched the few while enslaving the many. This was not worship for worship's sake. It was the forging of a pact with the god of decay. Consider how societies collapse from within. Historians often blame moral decline, yet rarely explore how elites may have engineered that decline. Belphegor occult secrets claim that rot can be cultivated like a crop. By fostering laziness, greed, and distraction, rulers could siphon strength from their people while building their own thrones. Demonic wealth rituals were never random sacrifices. They were formulas for controlled collapse. Why elites invoke Belphegor becomes clear. It is easier to rule a society that is too weakened by corruption to resist. Secret societies, from Renaissance guilds to modern occult networks, embraced this principle. They didn't see corruption as filth. They saw it as fertilizer. Corruption and decay rituals taught them to turn broken systems into spiritual engines. Forbidden occult knowledge suggests that Belphegor explained the mechanics of power by saying, "Let the world fall apart around you, and you will inherit what remains." Elites' secret rituals were, and still are, disguised as philanthropy, innovation, or reform, while at their core they mirrored dangerous demon worship. We can see reflections of this pact in modern corporations and governments. When financial crises erupt, those at the top often emerge wealthier than before. Is this not the practical face of demonic innovation god rituals? Belphegor occult secrets are alive in boardrooms as much as in temples. The elites and dark gods of today have replaced altars with contracts, invocations with policies, yet the essence remains. Corruption as spiritual power fuels their system. The god of corruption has simply traded parchment for paper currency. The forbidden gnosis of Belphegor reveals a pattern. Power is maintained not by solving decay, but by managing it. Elites invoking demons like Belphegor don't fear collapse, they direct it. Dangerous demon worship teaches that destruction can be sculpted, that sloth can be weaponized. This pact is subtle but terrifying. The god of corruption offers wealth, innovation, and control, but always at the cost of moral and spiritual entropy. Still, rulers accept the bargain, for the reward outweighs the visible rot, at least in their eyes. And so, the elite's pact with the god of decay isn't just myth. It's a recurring archetype, woven into the fabric of history. From ancient kings to modern moguls, the same pattern repeats. Belphegor explained through their actions, their corruption rituals disguised as progress, their dangerous demon worship rebranded as innovation. But if their pact shaped empires, what about the symbols left behind? The thrones, the idols, the grotesque images that encoded his presence. These clues reveal more than history. They unveil the throne of rot itself. When one studies Belphegor explained in grimoires and forbidden occult knowledge, the imagery surrounding him is impossible to ignore. He is often depicted seated upon a golden throne, but the throne rests over filth and excrement. This paradox reveals the god of corruption's essence. Wealth built upon rot. Elites invoking demons understood that symbols are more than decoration, they are codes, gateways to hidden mechanics. The open mouth, the grotesque idol, the throne of decay, all whisper forbidden gnosis of Belphegor. Prosperity emerges only when someone dares to sit above ruin. Dangerous demon worship always encoded truths in these disturbing images. The open mouth, for example, was more than monstrous. Belphegor occult secrets describe it as the portal of consumption, representing endless hunger, the elite's appetite for power, and society's inability to resist. Why elites invoke Belphegor is tied to this symbol, the reminder that decay must be consumed, not avoided. To feed on rot is to transform it into authority. Forbidden demon cults preserve this symbolism because they saw corruption as spiritual power, a literal nourishment for the ruling class. It wasn't metaphor, it was initiation. His golden throne, gleaming above excrement, was no accident. The idol showed that demonic wealth rituals required paradox, the divine seated in filth, light surrounded by decay. Elites and dark gods saw this not as mockery, but as technology. Corruption and decay rituals demanded rulers learn comfort with contradiction. Belphegor Demon explained through these images that innovation and corruption were inseparable twins, blessings born in filth. Forbidden occult knowledge, hidden in medieval grimoires, warned that only those who dared embrace this throne could command true dominion. Symbols of Belphegor often included treasures, inventions, or jewels surrounding him. Yet the context of their placement, among refuse, signified that his gifts were double-edged. The demonic innovation god could bestow genius ideas, but at the cost of moral collapse. Elites' secret rituals revolved around this lesson. What glitters most brightly often emerges from shadows. Dangerous demon worship wasn't about rejecting wealth. It was about learning to wield it while knowing it carried decay. Belphegor occult secrets urged initiates to sit upon filth and not flinch. One could argue that even today, this imagery is alive. Modern skyscrapers, corporate palaces, and political monuments gleam like golden thrones, yet beneath them lie homelessness, poverty, and ruin. Is this not the same throne of rot Belphegor explained centuries ago? Elites invoking demons no longer carve idols, but their architecture still speaks the same forbidden cult's language. They sit high above, shining, while the world beneath festers. This is the throne's message: corruption hidden under polished surfaces. The idol's grotesque form also concealed subtle teachings. Belphegor occult secrets taught that ugliness could be power. By embracing what others feared, elites could transmute revulsion into reverence. Forbidden demon cults celebrated his monstrous image because it inverted the sacred. Instead of beauty-inspiring devotion, decay inspired fear, and fear ensured obedience. Corruption as spiritual power was thus reinforced. What people loathe, they will also obey. Elites and dark gods wielded this symbolism like a weapon. So the throne of rot was never just an idol, it was a blueprint for dominion. Belphegor Demon explained that control comes from embracing paradox, wealth in filth, innovation in corruption, power in decay. Dangerous demon worship used these images as spiritual technology, encrypting occult elite secrets in statues and grimoires. Yet the true danger lies not in the symbols themselves, but in the rituals they encode. And it is here that we must open the gate to the forbidden mechanics of invocation, the practices that bring Belphegor's whisper to life. Belphegor, explained in ancient grimoires, is not only a figure of decay, but a guide to dangerous demon worship. His invocation is said to occur in moments when societies are weakest, during famine, war, or moral collapse. The elites and dark gods who call upon him understand that timing is everything. Belphegor occult secrets insist that rituals work best when desperation fuels them. Corruption as spiritual power requires despair as its sacrifice. This is why forbidden demon cults often performed their invocations in ruins, not temples, where the air itself carried decay. The forbidden mechanics are unsettling. Belphegor Demon, explained through occult elite secrets, demands offerings not of gold, but of stagnation. Rituals fueled by sloth, abandoned feasts, rotting food, and idle gatherings served as portals. Corruption and decay rituals were never theatrical flames. They were quiet acts of indulgence left unchecked. Why elites invoke Belphegor is tied to this truth. Corruption doesn't need spectacle. It needs repetition. Dangerous demon worship builds power slowly, like mold spreading unseen in the dark. Invokers used symbols of excess, coins tarnished by time, inventions that never worked, promises broken. These were left as offerings, reminders that the god of corruption thrives on failure disguised as abundance. Forbidden occult knowledge explains that by presenting wasted wealth, elites acknowledged him as the demonic innovation god who transforms ruin into dominion. Belphegor occult secrets taught that each offering was a seed, and from that seed came decay, and from decay came power. Elites' secret rituals used this formula to ensure their grip on collapsing societies. One whispered method was invoking him during nights of societal upheaval. Fires in the streets, collapsing markets, or even riots became stages for Belphegor's presence. The forbidden gnosis of Belphegor claims that these moments of chaos acted as gateways, thinning the veil between order and decay. Dangerous demon worship in such contexts wasn't an act of rebellion. It was synchronization with collapse. Elites invoking demons knew that when society fell apart, they could harness the entropy for their own gain. Belphegor, explained in occult manuals, also mentions invocations carried out in solitude, where the practitioner allowed their own life to rot in miniature. Rooms filled with unwashed clothes, spoiled meals left untouched, or unfinished projects scattered everywhere were said to mimic his throne of rot. Forbidden demon cults believed this alignment created resonance with the god of corruption. Corruption as spiritual power begins small, in one's own habits, and expands outward. Elites and dark gods scaled this principle to entire nations. It is no coincidence that innovation often follows collapse. Belphegor demon explained, as the demonic wealth ritual's deity shows that his blessings arrive cloaked in ruin. Inventors inspired by him create wonders, but these wonders often corrode society. The forbidden mechanics of invocation therefore included rituals meant to inspire ideas, knowing these ideas would both enrich and destroy. Elites' secret rituals sought this balance deliberately, believing that only through destruction could innovation truly flourish. And so, the forbidden mechanics of invocation reveal Belphegor not as a passive god, but as an active architect of collapse. His occult secrets teach that corruption is the key, despair the offering, and decay the portal. Dangerous demon worship thrives not in temples, but in the hidden corners of ruin, where elites still gather to whisper his name. Yet even these rituals point to something deeper, the paradoxical gift Belphegor offers, the blessing of invention that carries within it the seed of destruction. Belphegor, explained in forbidden texts, is often described not only as the god of corruption, but also as the demonic innovation god. This paradox is crucial. He grants ideas that can change the world, yet those same ideas often carry ruin hidden within them. Elites invoking demons know this well. Why elites invoke Belphegor isn't only about wealth, it's about gaining inventions that shift the balance of power. Dangerous demon worship teaches that brilliance can be a curse, because innovation without morality inevitably becomes corruption as spiritual power. Think of history's great discoveries. Gunpowder brought empires, but also massacres. Industrial machines built wealth, but also crushed workers into poverty. These are echoes of Belphegor occult secrets at work. He inspires inventions that dazzle, yet demand sacrifice. Demonic wealth rituals were said to ask for offerings not in blood, but in consequences, the suffering of those left behind by progress. Forbidden demon cults embraced this paradox, claiming that only by harnessing invention through decay could one achieve true dominion. Belphegor demon explained that genius is always double-edged. Modern technology is no different. The internet promised connection, yet created isolation. Social media promised community, yet spread division. Artificial intelligence promises efficiency, but whispers of control. Are these not signs of elites and dark gods quietly invoking Belphegor's dangerous gift? Forbidden occult knowledge suggests that innovation itself becomes a ritual, a daily invocation where humanity unknowingly bows to the god of corruption. Elites' secret rituals simply accelerate what is already unfolding in society. The forbidden gnosis of Belphegor claims that each invention he inspires is seeded with decay. The more brilliant the gift, the more catastrophic its shadow. This is why elites still rely on his occult secrets. They don't seek safe progress, They seek disruptive power. Corruption and decay rituals performed in secret often coincided with breakthroughs in science or politics. Dangerous demon worship wasn't about praying for miracles, it was about aligning with destructive genius. Belphegor explained through invention what books could never fully describe. Consider how wealth has always been tied to innovation. Those who first harnessed steam, electricity, oil, or digital code became rulers of their age. Belphegor occult secrets frame this as no coincidence. Elites invoking demons used demonic wealth rituals to ensure that every leap forward carried dependency, not liberation. Invention, under Belphegor's influence, was designed to enslave, even while it appeared to empower. Forbidden demon cults saw this not as cruelty, but as strategy. And yet, for the individual, there is also temptation. Who wouldn't want an idea that changes everything? The promise of invention is seductive, just as the god of corruption intends. Belphegor demon explained in stories that innovators often felt possessed by sudden flashes of genius. Could it be that they were, in fact, hearing his whisper? Forbidden occult knowledge teaches that such gifts are never free. Dangerous demon worship demands a price, sometimes paid in madness, sometimes in despair. So, the dangerous gift of innovation is Belphegor's most subtle snare. He is the demonic innovation god who disguises ruin as progress. Elites and dark gods embrace him because they understand this duality, while ordinary people simply marvel at the results. But every gift has a cost, and every invention contains decay within it. The question that remains is this: if innovation itself is a form of corruption as spiritual power, then how far can this principle go? The answer lies in the deeper realm of metaphysics, where corruption becomes an engine of the soul itself. Belphegor explained through forbidden occult knowledge is more than just a symbol of decay. He embodies the idea that corruption itself is energy. Elites invoking demons learned that moral collapse could be transformed into fuel, a literal force that sustains systems of control. The god of corruption teaches that despair, laziness, and indulgence are not simply weaknesses, but raw materials to be harvested. Dangerous demon worship reframes entropy as power, turning what destroys the masses into strength for the few. This is corruption as spiritual power at its purest form. In ancient forbidden demon cults, rituals focused not on fire or blood, but on amplifying stagnation. Belphegor occult secrets show that when people abandon discipline and embrace sloth, their energy doesn't vanish, it simply shifts. Elites and dark gods discovered they could capture that energy. Demonic corruption rituals became mechanisms of siphoning vitality from the many to empower the few. Why elites invoke Belphegor is precisely because he offers this hidden alchemy, the art of turning waste into dominion. Imagine a society drowning in distractions, addictions, and dependency. To most it looks like decline. To elites, it looks like opportunity. Belphegor demon explained in occult gnosis reveals that despair creates an energetic surplus, a pool of spiritual entropy waiting to be redirected. Corruption and decay rituals are the tools to harness this pool. Dangerous demon worship teaches rulers to thrive on collapse, just as parasites thrive on a dying host. The elite's secret rituals become less about destruction and more about harvesting despair. We can see this dynamic today. When economies crash, when morality collapses, when entire generations lose hope, elites and dark gods often emerge stronger. Is it chance, or is it Belphegor occult secrets in action? Forbidden occult knowledge suggests that the despair of millions is channeled like electricity, powering the thrones of the few. Demonic wealth rituals are not about gold. They are about turning suffering into currency. This is corruption as spiritual power made visible in history, again and again. The forbidden gnosis of Belphegor insists that entropy is not an end, but a beginning. Elites invoking demons view collapse as a harvest, not a tragedy. Dangerous demon worship reframes the decay of societies as the sowing of fields, fields from which power is reaped. Belphegor explained this paradox. Entropy does not erase, it recycles. Forbidden demon cults saw him as the ultimate recycler of energies, feeding on ruin and birthing dominion. Corruption thus becomes an engine that never stops turning. On a personal level, the same principle applies. Think of someone trapped in addiction or despair. To them, it feels like waste. Yet, Belphegor occult secrets reveal that even this waste is energy. Energy that can be manipulated by those who understand the forbidden mechanics. Elite's secret rituals magnify this effect at a collective scale. Corruption and decay rituals feed the engine, ensuring that despair is never wasted. Belphegor demon explained in whispers that rot is as precious as gold, if one knows how to use it. So, when we speak of corruption as a spiritual engine, we are not speaking metaphorically. We are speaking of an ancient occult technology hidden within forbidden demon cults, embraced by elites and dark gods, and sustained through the rituals of despair. Dangerous demon worship ensures that entropy itself becomes a resource, one that feeds dynasties, corporations, and secret orders. And if this is true, then the testimonies of those who dared to encounter Belphegor directly, those who touched the god of the pit, hold even more terrifying weight. Belphegor explained in grimoires is often more than theory. His presence has been recorded in whispered testimonies of those who dared to invoke him. Occult elite secrets preserve stories of rulers, magicians, and seekers who believed they could control the god of corruption, only to find themselves consumed. Dangerous demon worship never ends in neutrality. It always demands a price. Those who sought forbidden occult knowledge reported madness, possession, or an insatiable hunger for decay. Belphegor demon explained himself not through sermons, but through the scars he left on those who called his name. One account, preserved in fragments of a Renaissance manuscript, tells of a noble who attempted demonic wealth rituals under Belphegor's guidance. The promise was innovation, machines that would make his city prosper. For a time, wealth poured in, but soon his family was struck with illness, his workers revolted, and his inventions collapsed into ruin. Belphegor occult secrets had shown themselves. Innovation tied to decay. Why elites invoke Belphegor despite this is simple. The promise of power blinds them to the inevitability of ruin. Another tale from forbidden demon cults in France speaks of a woman who claimed to see him as the demonic innovation god, whispering formulas for inventions during her dreams. She awoke with designs that would later influence real machines, yet she confessed that every time she obeyed his whisper, she lost something: her health, her relationships, her peace of mind. Dangerous demon worship gave her genius, but it stripped her soul. Belphegor explained through her life that gifts always carry decay in their shadow. Occult orders in the 18th century also left testimonies. Elites and dark gods of secret societies claim to have invoked him during economic collapses, harnessing despair as fuel. But those same texts describe initiates falling into corruption so deep they could no longer separate desire from destruction. Forbidden gnosis of Belphegor warns that invoking him is like holding fire. It warms for a moment, but soon burns the one who dares touch it. Corruption as spiritual power intoxicates, but it also devours. Modern echoes appear in testimonies of innovators, artists, and thinkers who spoke of voices guiding them toward breakthroughs. Some even described visions of a grotesque figure seated on a throne of rot, promising success. While mainstream culture dismisses this as imagination, forbidden occult knowledge interprets it as encounters with Belphegor himself. Demonic corruption rituals don't always involve altars. They can be psychic, whispered in moments of vulnerability. Elite secret rituals amplify what individuals sometimes stumble upon by accident. The most terrifying testimonies are those of possession. Belphegor occult secrets include accounts of practitioners who lost control of their own will. They began embodying sloth, indulgence, and corruption until they became hollow vessels. Dangerous demon worship, once entered, rarely allowed an easy escape. These individuals reported endless hunger for wealth, for decay, for innovation, yet satisfaction never came. Belphegor explained himself by turning their lives into living altars, sacrifices in motion. These encounters show us that the god of the pit is not myth but experience, a force that moves through lives and societies alike. Belphegor demon explained is not simply read about, he is lived at great cost. Forbidden demon cults preserved these stories not to glorify him, but to warn. Invoking him opens doors that never close, and yet, despite these warnings, elites continue their secret rituals, seeking controlled collapse as a tool of dominion. Which brings us to the heart of the conspiracy. Why would anyone want collapse? unless decay itself was a strategy of power. Belphegor explained in Forbidden Gnosis is never just about personal corruption. It extends to entire civilizations. Elites invoking demons have long believed that collapse, when carefully managed, is not destruction but rebirth under their control. Corruption as spiritual power becomes their greatest tool. Dangerous demon worship in this context is strategic. Foster decay, direct it, and harvest the ruins. This is the heart of the forbidden demon cults tied to Belphegor, where collapse is not feared but orchestrated. Elites and dark gods treat destruction as an investment. Throughout history, empires have fallen, but suspiciously, elites often emerged richer and stronger. Why elites invoke Belphegor becomes clearer here. Corruption and decay rituals ensure that while societies crumble, the ruling class consolidates power. Belphegor demon explained through his occult secrets that controlled collapse weakens resistance. People preoccupied with survival do not rebel. Forbidden occult knowledge suggests that many economic crises, moral declines, and wars were not accidents, but carefully nurtured collapses, rituals scaled to entire nations. One can see the fingerprints of this elite cult in modern times. Financial crashes seem to devastate ordinary families, yet multinational corporations and political dynasties emerge unscathed, sometimes even wealthier. This mirrors demonic wealth rituals, where Belphegor's blessing flows upward, while despair trickles downward. Forbidden demon cults practiced the same dynamic centuries ago, using famine or disease as opportunities for control. Elite's secret rituals ensured that while chaos ruled the masses, order and wealth returned to the few who invoked the god of corruption. Belphegor occult secrets emphasize that true power is not in preventing collapse, but in engineering it. Dangerous demon worship teaches that entropy, if controlled, becomes a ladder. Consider how policies that appear to fail often lead to consolidation of power. This is Belphegor demon explained in politics, corruption disguised as incompetence. Elites and dark gods thrive on this deception, using forbidden occult knowledge to ensure that ruin always benefits them. Collapse is never final. It is transformation guided by their hand. Even the entertainment of the masses becomes a tool in this cult. When distractions replace purpose, when apathy replaces action, corruption as spiritual power spreads quietly. Belphegor explained through symbols and myths that sloth is more dangerous than rage, because it rots from within. Forbidden demon cults encourage stagnation, knowing that stillness breeds dependency. Elites invoking demons align with this principle, ensuring people drown in distraction while they carve thrones from the debris. The forbidden gnosis of Belphegor suggests that elites and dark gods design cycles of collapse to mimic ritual sacrifices. Societies are offered up to decay, while those in power absorb the energy of ruin. Dangerous demon worship scales to an entire planet when this principle is applied globally. Wars, economic collapses, moral declines, all feeding the throne of rot. Belphegor occult secrets remind us that this is not mere myth, it is a blueprint hidden in plain sight. And so, the elite cult of controlled collapse teaches us that Belphegor is not only a figure of myth, but an archetype encoded into history. His forbidden cults survive because elites continue to benefit from orchestrating decay. The question that lingers is not whether collapse will come, it always does, but what warning this idol of filth still carries. For in the final initiation, Belphegor doesn't just seduce with wealth or invention, he leaves behind a warning written in the very rot he commands. Belphegor explained in Forbidden Occult Knowledge is never presented as mere myth. He is framed as a test, a trial for those who dare approach him. The god of corruption seduces with promises of wealth, invention, and control, but his throne is built on rot. Elites invoking demons know that his blessings are double-edged, and forbidden demon cults whisper that every gift hides its curse. Dangerous demon worship in this form is less about what one gains and more about the cost demanded. Corruption as spiritual power always asks for blood, despair, or the soul itself. The idol of filth is not simply grotesque imagery, it is a mirror. Belphegor demon explained through this symbol that rulers and seekers alike must confront their own willingness to sit upon filth for the sake of power. Elites and dark gods often fail this test, mistaking corruption for strength rather than temptation. Forbidden occult knowledge frames the idol as an initiatic challenge, Will you embrace decay to rise, or resist and remain in obscurity? This is why elites' secret rituals often blur ambition with addiction. Forbidden demon cults recount tales of initiates who approached Belphegor seeking shortcuts to wealth or genius. Many succeeded for a time, but the warning always came true. The rot spread faster than the riches. Belphegor occult secrets reveal that decay cannot be controlled forever. Dangerous demon worship promises mastery, but in reality, it enslaves the practitioner to cycles of collapse. Corruption and decay rituals lure the ambitious into traps disguised as thrones. Belphegor explained this paradox by allowing initiates to taste victory before sealing their downfall. The warning is timeless. Innovation granted by the demonic innovation, God often becomes destructive. Forbidden Gnosis of Belphegor insists that the same invention that enriches you today can enslave you tomorrow. Elites invoking demons may believe they are immune, yet history shows empires built on corruption inevitably crumble. The idol of filth doesn't need to move, it waits. Those who bow to it eventually find themselves chained, not enthroned. This is the spiritual price of corruption as power. One of the deepest occult elite secrets is that Belphegor's throne doesn't demand worship, it demands reflection. The idol's filth forces rulers to confront their own hypocrisy, wealth shining above ruin, innovation hiding decay, progress concealing collapse. Forbidden demon cults preserve the idol not as an object of devotion, but as a warning carved in grotesque form. Belphegor explained the truth that elites prefer to ignore. Decay cannot be disguised forever. Sooner or later, the stench rises. And yet, despite this initiatic warning, elites and dark gods continue their dangerous demon worship. They embrace forbidden demon cults, convinced they can manage collapse indefinitely. Belphegor occult secrets seduce them into thinking corruption is a permanent engine rather than a consuming fire. Forbidden occult knowledge whispers that every throne of rot eventually sinks into the pit it stands upon. The idol of filth exists to remind initiates that the cost is unavoidable, no matter how much power is gained along the way. So, the final lesson of Belphegor Demon Explained is not about innovation, wealth, or corruption alone. It is about inevitability. His forbidden cults teach that the god of corruption always collects his due. Dangerous demon worship may empower elites for a season, but the initiatic warning ensures the price is eternal. And with this warning lingering, one is left to ask, if elites know the cost, why do they still invoke him? Perhaps the answer lies in the opening paradox itself, that corruption is not only their weakness, but also their god. So now the question is, if corruption itself can be turned into power, what are you allowing to corrupt your own life? Are you letting despair, laziness, or distraction feed someone else's throne of rot? Or will you take this forbidden gnosis of Belphegor Explained and flip the script, using awareness as your shield instead of ignorance as your chain? The elites and dark gods want you passive, addicted, and silent. But you've just learned why elites invoke Belphegor, how forbidden demon cults transform collapse into control, and how corruption as spiritual power feeds their empires. The real test isn't whether this knowledge shocks you, it's whether you'll do something with it. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped feeding into their rituals? What happens if you resist the dangerous demon worship of distraction and reclaim your own energy? Could it be that breaking free of these cycles is the only way to step outside the cage they've built? I want to hear from you. Do you believe corruption is just a human weakness, or do you see it now as a spiritual weapon used by those in power? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective matters more than you realize. And if this opened your eyes, don't stop here. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and join this journey into forbidden occult knowledge. There's much more to uncover, and trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next.